Welcome to the last match of week 8 here at the Gold Team Championship. It's going to be Frozen against Tianming, and Team Liquid and VK both looking to get to around 50% if possible. VK, who of course started this event on 6 and 2, now down to 6 and 9. But a chance to catch up Liquid if they can take down Frozen today. And with 1 week left to go of this portion, which gets teams into the World Club Championships, as well as the individuals into the playoffs for the Chinese scene, into the World Championships. Obviously things are hotting up. There are still 4 more weeks after the 9 weeks we have here though, where they have the team version of this, and this adds on to their final scores. So not all over in the standings, but very close to all over if they want to get into the Gold Club World Cup. Frozen and Tianming both had their warriors banned. That leaves Frozen with his Warlock, Rogue and Demon Hunter, and Tianming with his Warlock, Druid and Demon Hunter. So Druid and Rogue are the differences. And this has been a theme throughout this event. Team Liquid not trusting Druid, but most of the home teams are playing Druid every week. And I don't know, Liquid are hovering around 50%, so it doesn't really tell us if they're right or wrong, and presumably that's why they're keeping with the strategy. So Tianming, quite a lot of work to do here in managing this hand. Obviously not ideal once the Rogue gets the early start with the early Hana, but also early secrets don't really punish the Warlock much. All the Warlock wants to do is tap and draw cards, get to that quest completion, which you can do with a plot twist. And if they're not taking much damage, no matter how much value the Rogue has got, it is more the damage that is the problem. So Frozen does need to exert pressure sooner rather than later. Just to see what he takes here. He just takes Never Surrender. In theory can combo later on, also just get him another secret. It's quite difficult. You've got to think very carefully when using the Shadow Jeweler, because what you want to do, what your instincts tell you to do, as Tianming straight up blows it off the map. That scares me. Like, Soulfire costs you 2 cards. It might even discard the plot twist. I'm not a fan of that play in particular, but maybe it's okay. Yeah, Frozen was going to get a load of value out of it, but it wasn't really doing any harm. But yeah, just finish that discussion about what to do with the cards. Obviously, your instincts tell you to just try and look for 1 or 2 specific secrets and use the Paladin ones to get you there. But that's not what Frozen was doing. Frozen was taking the Paladin secret as an activator here for the Miscreant. I mean, maybe what Tianming did was right. I'm pausing in the commentary here because I feel like that was incorrect, but right from the second that Hana was played, he was really unhappy. So maybe the secrets get more out of control than I'm giving it credit for. Anyway, his hand size is going okay here. It's not got completely out of control, so he is able now, if he wishes, to plot twist and get this quest completed. One way to take Rogue on is to have your cards all reduced in cost, obviously. Rogue thrives on tempo. Well, if your cards cost 0, you can keep up with tempo with the best of them. And that is why I was surprised about the Soulfire play, because it sets back the speed of completing this quest. But again, it has saved him a lot of damage. Alex Straza being burned is probably about the best card that could have gone. It does mean that Tianming now has, in theory, some difficulty setting up a combo lethal, but in reality, he'd probably still be able to if he gets that far. Frozen also deep in the tank. Trying to work out how he can best push this advantage. When to play the Edwin. Now's not a good time to play the Edwin. Or is it? It would have been a 6-6 with 2 other minions down there. Which means it would probably have lived through a Dark Skies. But the problem is a Nether Breath and a Dark Skies would have killed it off. And so I think maybe he's waiting for a better opportunity. It's always worth advancing your Galacond as well. Maybe you draw that on 7 and just want to get it out there. Very close to... He has all the... So if he drew Galacond next turn, he could play the Maniac, the double praise Galacond, and it would be a fully invoked Galacond, for instance. Tianming trying to get some control of the board. Reminder, this is a last hero standing. Most of the Grandmasters has been Conquest, so a little bit different to what we're used to seeing. Frozen is interesting because he doesn't want to buff this to a 3-3 unless he's going face, because it does exactly the same amount of damage to a minion as it would if it was a 1-3 because it has poisonous. But maybe he's going to go face, but he does need somewhere to just play the card. Oh, the double kobold, will he keep it back for some burst damage? That's an interesting thing to wonder about as well. Even though he could use it right now to get some board. He's clearly eyeing up this Edwin. Okay. So this is interesting because he knows full well that can come back down and kill the Edwin. But look at the damage that's coming in. If Tianming chooses to play the Caladan to take down the Edwin, Frozen just not only hits him for 5 more, and that's not even counting the 2 kobolds in his hand, which would be another 4, but he gets to add more stuff to the board. So Frozen, this is what good players are made of. He's not scared of the Edwin being killed off because it would put him in such a good spot. It's like, go ahead, kill my Edwin with your stupid Caladan. I don't care. I will just punish you massively for it. But he also knows that Tianming may not have any other options. Yeah, and this is the payoff. That's 5 damage incoming if he wants it. So many ways to do this next turn as well. Don't forget that it's going into a Twisting Nether turn. So the reason he's not playing the Questing Adventurer and backing it up with a load of lackeys to make a huge questing, which would look fantastic, is because he would lose his whole board to Twisting Nether. So his plan this turn is to set up maybe a potential lethal, but at least a board that Tianming won't want to face, and try and force that Twisting Nether out. Unfortunately, so far, he hasn't got out of range of Dark Skies, and that's a problem, so he's going to need to play more stuff. You always want to be on more than 10 health on board. I mean, it's a lot of health, right? It's easy to say, if you say it quickly, yeah, let's have 10 health on the board, but this is the problem if you have under 10 health on board. However, with a Never Surrender that he took earlier, that I'd conveniently forgotten all about, to make this exciting, of course, not because I'd forgotten it, all Frozen stuff lives. And is that lethal? And sets up lethal, yeah. But the turn's not over yet. Tianming still able to deal with most of this. He's able to deal with all of it if he wants to go for Rain of Fire and Nether Breath. Or if he chooses, I say if he wants to. I don't think he wants to do any of these things. But he's back at 17. But had to use the Nether Breath without a Moarg. That's another of those mini victories for Frozen. Now he can start spamming a bit harder, Frozen, because he has access to Togwaggle Wand. He's going for that straight away. I thought we might see him play out the questing and a bunch of this other stuff this turn, and then Togwaggle Wand next turn, but it would be 9 mana, so he wouldn't be able to do it all in one turn. You have to wait another turn. It would be his 9 mana turn, and it costs 10 to use, is what I'm trying to speak. Right, Tianming does get the plot twist off. Later than I would have liked. Let's see how this pans out, though. He actively chose to go this route when he soul-fired early on. And to be fair, if he survives maybe one more turn, it's not that horrific for him. You do have to go low as Warlock. Being on 14 is a problem, but you're against a fairly quick deck. You're going to have low health totals. There's nothing you can do about that. Okay. So when you hero power with plot twist, the 0 mana card doesn't say 0 mana when you shuffle it back in. So he's hero powering afterwards. So he's guaranteed to have a 0 mana card in his hand. It's definitely not the card he'd want it to be. Do you just fire that out there? I think you do. I think you just play it out. You've got no combo cards to worry about. Just have a big minion in play. He's used both plot twists, so he shouldn't be able to ever get any health out of it again. Maybe he wants to save it for after a twisting nether. Should that turn up? But here's Frozen's big turn that he set up last turn with the Tog. And interesting to see how far he goes, knowing that Tianming's hand is random. He can maths out the odds of things happening here. So I thought maybe he'd go deeper, thinking that Twisting Nether was less than 50-50, for instance, but the art of playing its control is putting just enough pressure on at just the right times. And Frozen's got just a teensy bit of experience doing that sort of thing. He's done it all of his career. Right, Tianming gets the 0 mana nether. I'd like to see him play this and then, you know, start spamming the board. Get a Moag out there. Get your Taunt minion out there. Just get stuff out there. Minions are really, really good things to have. Maybe you don't do this. Maybe Netherwing was a bit awkward looking. But yeah, here we go. Oh wow, what's he looking for with... Okay, he's going for the Edwin. Okay. Edwin will come up. I think it's 8-8 that the minimum it will look for with Zephyrus. So that was nicely worked. That's why he kept back the 0 mana minion. He had this in mind all along, because he did discard his Alexstrasza earlier on. So maybe this was his plan for some time, to make an Edwin later to cover the 8-8 he no longer has. I've been taking it that doesn't matter, but maybe he realises from experience that actually Alex not being able to do 14 points of damage with its battle cry plus an 8-8 body is actually a big deal. So he's covered that by saving up and making a huge Edwin. Which is quite hard to get to stick against this rogue deck, because they just blackjack stunning your stuff a lot of the time. As it happens, Frozen doesn't have the secret to use alongside the stunner right now. And Frozen is actually in a spot of bother because of that play. Interesting to see if he taunts up here. So, forced to flick it, which is irritating for him. Not a disaster though, he has played his own Edwin earlier. It was the one that was 8-8 that was taken down by the Caladan. But it's irritating because you want to flick a Moag or a Netherwing, and that's why he's returned the flick to his hand. And he's another removal spell, but it could be pretty dangerous. It feels like there's a sense of urgency, Lady Liadrin, a sense of urgency in Tianming's play here. He's running low on cards in his deck, and it's like he's decided he's got to push now or he'll never get there. So flicking the 9-9 doesn't get rid of the other one because it's created by the Abyssal Summoner. now he's drawn the Shadow Step. He can flick away the two biggest things and kind of do what he likes after that. It's not that straightforward. Might play the Spell Lackey before the flick, unless he's got a plan for the whole mana for the turn. Just see what spell he can pick up. So he needs to go fast here. The connection for Team Liquid has not been the greatest into the Chinese servers at times. So even though Frozen can play Hearthstone as quickly as anybody under pressure, we have seen Liquid have a few issues with the rope, and yeah, he went to do some other things there with the Spell Lackey, realised there wasn't the time, and this is a professional thing to do. His ordering here is incorrect. He wants to play the Spell Lackey. He hovered over it, but he realised that the Discover effect, playing on a slow server, had a chance of not working for him. As it happens, look, he's got there, but had a chance of not working for him. And so he just went with the play he could see. He also did get everything queued up, which means there are now 2 more flicks in his deck. And Tianming is low on things to do, and this is his Malygos. If this goes down, it's kind of game over, but it does clear everything. And this is kind of comes. He draws the flick. This is from last turn. This is, you could call it lucky, but he set it up last turn. He put the flicks in his deck with the scheme, and now because of that, Tianming is out of good minions. Okay, you can see he still has stuff available to him, and still has clears available. Moag, Nether Breath will buy him some health. He can hero power, but he only has 5 cards left in his deck, and he's got to connect for 23. Frozen getting a Hex is a big deal because Lady Liadrin's about the only good minion that Tianming has left. Frozen might just run him out of threats. That would be amazing for the Rogue to run the Warlock out of the threats. Remember, Tianming soul-fired early on. Lost his Alexstrasza because of it. That lack of damage is coming back right now. And again, I'm not calling that incorrect, but I'm just showing the consequences of his actions, if you like. The things he has done have led to this path, but that doesn't mean it's wrong necessarily, because we never saw the other path where that might have gone. Plus he hasn't lost yet. He's still got a little bit of beef in his hand. Frozen has not a lot left at the moment, but his deck must be full of good stuff. There must be, what, a Galakron and a Kronk. We haven't seen either of those 2 cards. There's probably a secret or 2 left, which isn't really what he wants. There's a Backstab, which actually might be okay for him. Galakron's what he needs, though. What is it? He's okay. He's just inserting damage to face. Well, I'm just a bit concerned about Tianming's ability to, like, double Moag, Nether Breath, gain 16. But he fatigues first, and Frozen's deck's full of good stuff. So I'm not really sure Tianming's going to get the chance to get this Lady Liadrin on the board. He needs to find a way to make time for her. Hellfire. This inclusion in the deck's made quite a big difference, I feel. Very much specific, unique to the Chinese scene. Don't really see that at all in Grandmasters. Oh, he's going to clear this way. It puts him to 5. Do we like this? Maybe it's okay. Haven't even seen what Frozen's picked up yet, but he likes it. Oh, Miscreant. It's actually really close, but Tianming only has 1 card left. So Frozen really does just need to survive. Down to 15 himself, though. But now Tianming is facing death every single turn. Can you even play the Thalnos here? Gain 6. Frozen? This is so close. It gets another flick. So now it's not close at all. It's basically over. I think you flick the 4/6 and you do 2 damage to face. But you don't know what the generated card is. That's what he's trying to work out. So, if he goes face here for 2, Tianming takes a point of. Well, actually, you don't. You hit the Thalnos. So Tianming takes extra burn, and that would be the end of the game. Yeah. So you hit the Thalnos. Tianming draws a card. That's 1 damage. You hit him in the face with a weapon. That's 2 damage. You hit with the other one. That's 3 damage. You pass turn. And then Tianming takes 2 more points of damage, and that's the 5. So Frozen takes a 1-0 lead, and Tianming queues up the Druid. And this could be pretty quick for Frozen, actually. He might just mow through this, and then he gets into the Demon Hunter matchup, which I think might just be favoured for the Rogue these days. So a good chance for Frozen here to just take this down, get Team Liquid to 50%, and that put them in a good spot. I believe that Liquid are automatically invited to the Gold Club World Cup. So it's the 7 Chinese teams battling it out for the 4 Chinese spots in that. And then teams will be invited, of which Liquid are 1, to the Gold Club World Cup. Alongside what? T1, G2, and I'm really sorry to the other team. Oh, and Barcelona, their esports division, will be playing with Zim and 2 of his temporary teammates. I think they're going to be for that tournament. So look out for the Gold Club World Cup when that comes up. 4 Chinese teams, 4 rest of the world teams, and they're playing for a week, so the format's really drawn out, and there's battlegrounds in it as well. And I do know that the finals of that event and the semi-finals, it's just 1 day for each, and they play best of 3 best of 5s. So you play best of 5, then you've got to win another best of 5 before you win the match. Format that I personally am a massive fan of. It means you get a whole day of watching the teams play. Really gives you a chance to get into the players and the decks and the lineups and know what's going on. It also allows for the players to speculate with some bans or try some trickery, and I'm a big fan of that too. Anyway, back to the game in progress. Frozen is trying to exert pressure on the Druid before the Druid gets out of control. That's what you have to do. And really, he's not getting anywhere, but also Tianming's not getting very far because he hasn't drawn any ramp. So it's a bit of a standstill, but standstills, especially now with the Mount Seller pickup, the standstills tend to favour the Druid because it will all come to a halt when the Druid makes 6 minions in 1 turn if Frozen hasn't got a big board by then. So Frozen will be thinking, okay, I probably have 3 turns to be able to beat a Mount Seller. I doubt I can do 26 damage or even close to it in 3 turns. Given that Tianming will have some removal because his hand is bad. And if his hand is bad, then it's bad because it's full of things that kill my things. So Frozen trying to work out just how much he can do. Yeah, you see the heavy sigh there. He was looking for some value generations, like the spell or the dragon lackeys are the ones that generate that value. And he just hasn't found any pressure. And the problem with this is, you're great, you can blackjack stun a 1 thing later if you have it, which Frozen doesn't, and so on. And get through for lethal that way. But if you haven't done at least a sensible amount of damage, interesting. Tianming just heals for 5 now. Yeah, if you haven't done a sensible amount of damage, you're in trouble. But here comes the questing. I'm just looking. Tianming did have to waste that card. Oh, Silent Watcher is just absolutely what he didn't want. So I assume that Tianming was going to use the Claw later on with the Mount Seller and the Innovate is his plan. So he realised that he had a 1-mana spell left over, and that's the one he chose to use. And yeah, he could have killed a 1 health minion that's going to hit him 3 or 4 times more this game, so that's 3 or 4 more damage. Or he can heal his own face, which is 5. So he figured that over the course of the game, that 5 will be more effective. But Frozen has made this massive questing adventure and has space to make it even more massive going into next turn. And Tianming can't deal with it very well. Has he got it? He's going to have to claw into it, right? With the double Moonfire. So, yes, he's killed it off. You know what else he's killed off here? His Mount Seller. So he's looking whether to innovate Hero Power or whether to use a Moonfire. Which is better, Innovate or Moonfire next turn? He's keeping the Moonfire. I think I'd keep the Innovate. It's a tough one. But the Innovate might give him access to another spell to go with his Mount Seller. And the Moonfire will never do that. On the other side of that, the Moonfire will be able to kill off a 1 health minion. But really, is that a problem in this particular game of Hearthstone? Probably not, because it's unlikely the 1 health minion is ever any more than a 1/1. Anyway, Frozen has got some sort of board. He's also got a wand. He's in a good position. And, well, the decision to keep back the Innovate has turned out to be a good one here. Savage Roar off the Innovate, enabling Tianming, in theory, surely he doesn't overflow. Surely? Really? He feels he's got the time to do this. I mean, he's not wrong. Okay. I was thinking he didn't have the time, but he does. It's a little bit dodgy, but the whole position's a little bit dodgy, right? So, if you Mount Sellers and Innovate Savage Roar, he gets 2 minions, he gets to kill off the 1/2. And his Mount Seller will probably get eaten alive, and then he has to, next turn, play the Overflow, and while he's doing that, Frozen would make a massive board. So yeah, the Overflow is actually the right way to go. What does Frozen get from this wand? That's really grim, as you can see. Also, he only got 2 cards because he didn't make hand space, is that right? Yeah, he didn't make hand space. Oh, unless the prep was the 0 mana. Either way, nowhere near what he wanted from that. But still pressing a lot of damage. Remember, he has got the Blackjack Stunner available, so can bounce a big Taunt out of the way next turn. Not that there's even an Iron Bark in the hand for Tianming. That's a problem. He's going to have to Mount Seller and Fungal Fortunes and try and find some way to set up some Taunt, isn't he? Not that that's a surprise to him, that's probably where he was going to go anyway. And again, this Innovate will be quite nice here. But that's a bad roll. He might need a little help. Ironbark found, that's quite a lot of help. So now he's going to kill as many things as he can and make as many things as he can and put up as much health as he can. Not that it's going to really matter the health, because any secret for Frozen, which you've got to assume is there, although he hasn't got one, will allow the Blackjack Stunner in. It's actually one of the reasons that this Rogue deck didn't capture my imagination much, is that the Blackjack Stunners and the Secret Passage is always felt a little bit flimsy. It's fantastic when you do get it. Does he get it? No. Is he dead next turn? Well, as it stands, yes. But it won't stand like that for that long. Is he just dead? So Galacon will get him 2 cards. And he needs to get a secret from those to activate the stunner. Nope and nope, and he's shaking his head. And we can see there's double Savage Roar waiting. He has to play on in case they're the bottom 2 cards. But I don't think he can clear much of this. Making space for the Miscreant, just because why not? Maybe he finds a way to survive one more turn. And Tianming's decision to overflow earlier, which instinctively doesn't look great, was actually really superb. Obviously if Frozen had had a good hand, then maybe it doesn't work, but the point is it wasn't going to work whatever he did. Is this still lethal or not? 9 plus 8 plus 8 plus 3. I'll leave that as an exercise for the reader. So 9 plus 8 plus 8 is 25, plus 3 from the Power of the Wild is 28, plus the Iron Bark. It's not quite enough. I don't think it matters that it's not quite enough, because this board is going to be ridiculous at the end of this turn, but it's not quite lethal. It's not often that double Savage Roar isn't lethal. Frozen did a good job of doing anything at all there. But unfortunately for Frozen, I think his number is up here. Tianming's just going to leave him with nothing. Curious to see if he actually leaves him with nothing, or if he chooses to leave up anything at all and get some damage into the face. It doesn't really matter. I think you kill everything. Yeah, takes the damage. The reason I kill everything, or I might leave the 1-1 up actually, is I think the way that... I mean, how do you lose this game? If someone says to you tomorrow, you lost this game of Hearthstone, you idiot, because something lackey something, which for me means kill the Miscreant. But who even knows what you could get and still have the mana to play. Maybe Tianming just has that in order. I'm sure it was correct. Well, probably correct to go face. I just like killing everything off. I don't think it lowers the clock because of the double Savage Roar, but maybe it does. Either way, Frozen's doing his utmost to try and clear once again the board. Oh my goodness. Is this going to be a frustrated concede in a minute? I guess it's not. Well, he knows there's going to be one Savage Roar in hand next turn. Because there's only going to be one card left in Tianming's deck. So if one's the bottom card and one's the second bottom card, there's still one in hand. Those are just playing cards. I think he's actually just dead to basically anything. It goes to 1 apiece, and that was not fun for Frozen fans. So, Tianming once again going to be on the Druid. And Frozen gets the Demon Hunter out. I've played this matchup a lot since the nerf, and the Demon Hunter just wins if it draws some 1-drops. And Frozen's drawn... Wow. Yeah, that hit the board so quickly that nothing else moved. Either that or there's a problem with the spectator. You have to get these 1-drops down against the Druid. Doesn't matter that the Druid spent a turn to kill it, because that's a turn that the Druid now has one later on. The Druid has to do this, you have to do it, and Frozen is drawing his 1-drops. Albeit a little bit close to the wire, he's got them. It's an awful hand he's got though. Like, this is such a fantastic matchup, and the way you lose is by not curving roughly through your minions. You don't even have to be that accurate. You can play a beaming sidekick on one, followed by a 2-3 on 2. That's enough. You just... The fact it repeats turn after turn is just plenty. But this isn't where you want to be. At all. Don't think he'll use the first part of the Twin Slice here, but he'll consider it. The reason you have to think about it is it can come down to 1 mana later on. Tianming getting the overgrowth played, so he's going to be okay going forward. But he currently doesn't have Glowflies or Mount Sellers, so that will help Frozen a little bit. The Asira plan is too slow because there's no taunt. Curious to see if Frozen again doesn't play the slice. I'd have been more tempted to play the slice this time than last time because looking to get the skull onto the left hand side of the hand is a thing. Wow, that's a Mount Seller gone. And look at the health total. This is what I was talking about. Because the Druid does nothing for so many turns at the start of a game, even when it has a decent draw, it does just take damage. And the reason that Demon Hunter's so good is because it can get through that with a Warglaves or a Cane later on and get the final piece of damage through. Right, finally Frozen is thinking about the slice. There's good reason not to play it as well. He may need to get through a Mount Seller that has been given taunt. And so double slice is 4 plus hero power is 5, double eye beam is 11, and that would be how much the Mount Seller would be on if it had an Iron Bark. So whilst I would be looking to use it, now I've done the actual calculations, it probably stays in hand. But next turn is an important one. He may want to get the skull sorted. You are allowed to play skull without outcast, of course. It's one heck of a grim Hearthstone turn when you have to do that, but it's a legal play. I don't know if I've ever done it without doing it by accident. Like when the class first came out, it's like, oh yeah, I've got my skull. I'll play my skull, and the next thing you realise is it hasn't got outcast, or your cards cost 5, and you're a bit silly. Well, this is all Tianming could throw at him. It's actually not bad, but with double eye beam in hand, I think the decision... Oh, I was going to say the decision's been made for him, but this is even more ridiculous. Actually... I think the eye beams are better. Yeah. Okay, this is fine. Because you want to run the Warglaves into a big taunt minion twice after slicing twice. So he did save one of the charges, which is probably enough. Right, here's the player I've been talking about all game. Mount Seller. And probably Ironbarking it. It's one of the matchups where you do Ironbark, the big thing. You do this against warriors as well. The classes that struggle to deal with it. Where sometimes you'll hide it. Anyway, this is what Frozen saved up for. He's worked this out all game. And lethal damage alongside some bit of help from Altruist there. A quick win. And Frozen goes to 2-1 ahead. Liquid very close to that 50% mark. If he wins this one more game, they'll be there. Tianming going to be on his own Demon Hunter. And and these are some of my favourite matchups in Hearthstone. I know it sounds ridiculous, it's just two aggro decks hitting each other, but there's so much to it, so many nuances to getting this right. And one of the things to do is to not have the coin. Now in Frozen, what do you want to do? If this was on the coin with an extra card, you could full keep this. You've got I-Beam to react to their 1-drop, then you play Umberwing and Satyr on curve, and everything's lovely. I think you have to throw the I-Beam here though, and try and get something to do on 1. I think the 2-3 might be strong enough to keep. He might be considering throwing the Overseer though, to double his chance of getting a 1-drop. But it's such a powerful play that maybe he'll keep it. Umberwing is so strong on curve. I think you always keep that. What would you do? Pause it, have a think. He does full keep. No, he throws the 1. Okay, cool. That makes me happy. Doesn't hit anything good from it, but he does hit the Org Merchant. Yeah, and he's having a think about whether to play this or not, because when's he going to play it if he doesn't? And you might be thinking, well, Tianming surely just hero powers it down. Well, he does, but that's a 1-drop he's not playing if he does that. And if he plays a 1-drop, you trade the Org Merchant into it. Obviously with coin you might get 2 1-drops down. I like the idea of just throwing this out there, but obviously it's a waste of value if you don't. If you do. And he does it. And I like this play. This is the play I would have made. And Tianming doesn't have the means to punish this. If he were to coin out Umberwing, he's got no play next turn a lot of the time. Although you can play to the top of your deck. He needs to keep this coin. There'll be better spots. And this has now got to the point where Frozen wants to be. He's got turn 2 down, ahead on board at the end of the turn. Or at least at the end of his turn. And now he's going to have the Overseer play. And this is why he kept the opener. And Tianming doesn't have his own Overseer to go with this. He, I believe, is going to have to I-beam it for 3 mana. Nothing else really works. You could put your life in the hands of the scoundrel, I guess. Oh, you can hero power, but then what do you do? Hero power take 4. Then I-beam next turn, that's better. But is it? How does he swing this? I was forgetting that he has the Umberwing loaded. I think you have to make stuff, so you have to hero power, coin, and Shadow Weaver face. I think that's the only way you get ahead on board. Otherwise you're passing back to Frozen in this state. And he just puts more numbers on the board. You don't know what those numbers are going to be, but yeah, this is about the expected play. And you can, to some degree, just forget what the cards say in the mirror and count the numbers in the corners. That's why Frozen on turn 1 just played the 2-1. He knows he's going to die, but it also costs his opponent a mana to kill it, which means he can go to turn 2 with more stuff than Tianming. Absolutely perfect for where you want to be. He's having a think because he wants to play the Overseer next turn and have as many charges left as possible. So it's false economy not to hit the minion, but do you hit the face? Because you'd be saving the chance of a 2-2. You'd be saving your 2-2 for the chance of a 2-2, right, if you traded the minion. So you might as well have the 2-2 here and now. Now Tianming has issues. Okay. I guess this is okay. I don't like the way the coin's still in his hand. So there I might have hero powered and played the 6-4 into face. It's only 2 damage to face for a coin though, it's probably not worth it. Something I like about this matchup is that the equivalences you can make. You just quite often say, okay, this coin could have been 2 damage, or this card could have been this much damage, and you can actually sort of plan out what everything's worth, what all your plays are worth, to some degree. But Frozen, the second Overseer, is just getting it done now. He has had slightly better of this, but he's played it, I think, very well. Wow, gives up a charge to get the extra minions down. Did I just miss-see that? That doesn't seem right. I guess if he's going to Skull next turn, it's probably right. And Tianming's shown that you can only do one thing at a time, so this lot are going to get in there. I guess if the weapon's going to do 3, it's going to do 1. He's put the same damage down now, but yeah. I don't see how Tianming can do anything here. I think you have to scoundrel and find a way to clear this board. Otherwise, it's going to be Frozen's game, I think. Yeah. So you can find some sort of board clear. No, he went for the mystery choice to try, but no. Doesn't know where to point this. He didn't get what he wanted. Everything's all over the place. Is this lethal now? 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13, 15, 17, 19. Frozen? Hello? 8? I think that was lethal. With the double slice and the hero power. Anyway. Maybe I can't count. Either way, I don't think it's going to make much difference. Frozen's massively in control here. Let's have a look at what Tianming can do next turn. Well, the trouble is when you get low on health in the mirror is your Warglaives become almost useless because you want to smash into loads of things with your face. I think that might be the conclusion that Frozen's reached here. You can't Warglaives these down. You've not been able to... Look at this. Perfect. He's not been able to clear the board, so why would he be able to clear the board when his Warglaives are useless? And Tianming gives it up. They go to 6 and 10, but Frozen, Team Liquid, back to 50%, 8 and 8, and still in with a good chance of a decent playoff spot.